Hello everybody, it's Merlin here, and I guess I should give you guys a Mission Impossible review. So, I guess on the cuff I will. I just saw it actually. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. It is the fifth Mission Impossible movie. Can you believe it? We see Tom Cruise returning once again as Ethan Hunt. I was about to say Christopher Walken. I don't know why. But yeah, Tom Cruise returns again as basically the American version of James Bond. Closest thing we have. Well, I guess that's Jason Bourne. I don't know, Jason Bourne, Ethan Hunt, No, he's very different. But he's the guy that sneaks into places, protects us from terrorists, and is involved in all kinds of awesome stunts. And, pretty iconic. It's kind of awesome to see that this franchise has continued to, continue. And honestly, I would say generally improve with each outing. I mean, it's definitely... I don't know if I would ever say that, like, the original Mission Impossible movie, which is in itself a remake and reimagining based on the TV show, was ever really bad. But Mission Impossible 2 happened, and then it kind of dug its way back from after that point. But this movie, it's kind of funny. What is there really to say about it? I mean, the IMF agent, you've got some of the classics coming back. You've got Jeremy Renner returning again. Simon Pegg is the tech guy. You've got Ving Rhames coming back as well as kind of the other tech guy. And you've got a newcomer who is kind of the possible rogue agent, I believe, played by, what's her name? Rebecca Ferguson. I believe she was on The White Queen. And, I mean, the plot for these movies, despite the different direction that each director takes and adding their own flavor to it, the basic plots of these are essentially the same. There's always some evil rogue terrorist. He's usually like a rogue agent that worked with the government or is turned against the government, who's trying to destroy the world for some reason or another. And usually it's for their own personal reasons because they're angry about the system. Lo and behold, Ethan Hunt has been tracking down this mysterious syndicate, which is kind of like Spectre, just this evil terrorist organization that might be made up of former agents, we don't know, but they're all like the best assassins from across the world, and the leader of this group seems to be a step ahead of him every time, and tracks him down to one of his little hideouts, kills the secretary, and basically dares him to follow him, and IMF's being closed down by the CIA because let's face it, the last couple movies, they've pretty much almost destroyed pretty much everywhere they've gone, and creating a lot of international incidents, so there is that. So they're on the run as usual, trying to take down this guy. Really, that's pretty much it. As I said, Rebecca Ferguson plays this possible double agent that Ethan's trying to deal with, who might be on his side, maybe not. But this movie is pretty much nonstop for the most part. I mean, there's some callbacks. I feel like you'll definitely appreciate this movie if you know the characters, because it kind of does imply that some of the previous installments in the franchise kind of do matter a little bit, and there are some consequences, which I did like. And it's kind of a mishmash. Like Ghost Protocol was kind of the film that really embraced the silliness that Mission Impossible kind of inherently had in some aspects and ran with it and just had a lot of fun. Mission Impossible 3 was a much darker, grittier, more serious take on the spy life. This movie is actually kind of a combination of the two, and considering those are the two best Mission Impossible movies, generally considered to be, I'm actually okay with that. This movie, it feels like there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of good jokes. I think Simon Pegg and, heck, Jeremy Renner and Ving Rhames get some good lines too. But there is some interesting development going on for Ethan. He's really intense about tracking down the villain Lane and proving to himself he can take him down because he's kind of met his match for once. It really has some pretty high stakes, generally speaking. And there's some good action. There's also some quieter moments. Sometimes they do have the infiltration. I feel like, I will confess, as good as this movie was, it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's the same basic spy action movie that we always have, but it kind of is. Like, everything is basically arbitrary. What the guy wants, what they're trying to steal, it doesn't really matter. You're not here for that. You're here for the cool stunts, you're here for some cool lines, and some good fight scenes. And, for the most part, it really moves pretty well, and it's engaging, it's compelling. The thing is, though, I kind of wish that it did embrace one aspect or the other a little more. And I find a lot of films have this issue where they're going for one particular tone, but they don't embrace something fully. Now, you can have elements of different types of films, obviously, within one. But I think typically the best films are the ones that are fully aware of what they're going for and what they are. This movie has a lot going on, so it's certainly never boring. It's engaging. It's fun. but it's never quite as over the top or exciting or funny as Ghost Protocol could be. And I'll confess, Ghost Protocol for me was honestly the most fun, maybe the best movie, honestly. But could I tell you exactly what the plot was or the villain was in that? No. Now, Mission Impossible 3, I actually could tell you what the purpose of the story was, with Ethan Hunt having to kind of deal with his darker aspects of dealing with having his personal life, and then you had the villain who was really getting deep into his psyche, and I remembered that part was very compelling. So this movie kind of tries to have both of those elements, and that's why I feel like it never quite gets to the level of either of the previous two movies. That's why I think Mission Impossible 3 and 4 are better, because they're wholly going for one particular style. I think the director of this film, Christopher McQuarrie, is trying to really emulate the previous film, Ghost Protocol, but have, kind of some more serious elements with this villain, who is a pretty good villain, but he does feel, at the end of the day, kind of generic. So it's like, this movie is very generic Mission Impossible, but it's generic Mission Impossible done very well. So I can't really hold that against it too much. It's kind of like the first time I saw when I saw Mad Max Fury Road. Fury Road was amazing, but I was kind of like, it's so basic though. I almost should I give it the ultimate credit? No. So this movie is a good time. I feel like if you aren't into Mission Impossible or you're not, this might not be the best movie to start you with. I think Ghost Protocol is probably the best way to go, but this one's still a lot of fun. There's still some good action. There's still a little bit of good drama, and even a little bit of political commentary, of course. I actually think the best performance in the movie is probably Jeremy Renner, who, as Hawkeye, you guys might know, just does a great job as well. So, on the whole, having just seen it, I'll leave Mission Impossible Rogue Nation with an A-. I think it's a very good movie. Is it quite as good as everybody's making it out to be? I'm not entirely sure why the hype's so big for this. Maybe because there just hasn't been something this crazy since Mad Max, but I don't know. I think it's very good, but it's a little underdeveloped in some areas. I kind of want a little more from Mission Impossible. I either want it to be really over the top or more serious and grounded. Now, if they can balance it in a little bit more, of a balanced way, I think that's definitely something that's worth attempting. I just don't know if it quite was perfect here. I just felt like there was something kind of missing with this one. On the whole, though, I did enjoy it. I'd recommend it, so check out Mission Impossible 5. Well, they call it Rogue Nation, but it's the 5th movie. All right, guys. Merlin out. Peace.